here for a Top 5 Tuesday, but I just gotta say, guys, I'm very excited because we just got into spring. It's the 3rd of September, but we're into spring, and it was actually warm today. Like, I mean, for me, warm's like 15 degrees because I live in Jindabyne. I am like in a t-shirt. Like, this time I'm actually wearing a shirt because it's warmish, and I love it. And it's probably gonna get cold like in the next 3 days, but I'm gonna take this warmness while I can and just feel happy about it. But today's Top 5 Tuesday video is gonna be my top 5 nostalgic ships. So these are ships that I had in the past that were really a big part of my life at the time that I read these books, and now there is a lot of other ships that I really am obsessed with. So some of these I don't like anymore, some of them I still really love, but these are just ships that I do feel all the nostalgia for when I read the books at the time. So number 5 on my list is Owen Stuff from the House of Night series by PC and Kristen Cast. So this is a book where the main character does not end up with her first boyfriend, and she ends up sleeping with a teacher, then she ends up with someone else, and then she meets Stark, and Stark is the end game, okay? He is the end game, and he is beautiful. I loved him so much in this book, and I loved his journey and development, and I hadn't read that many young adult books at the time that I had read this, so these type of relationships were still very new to me. So to get attached to people and shipping and just being used to that was just very foreign to me at the time. But I just gravitated towards Stark, and I just love him, and I would literally reread this series just so that I can experience their relationship again because it's so cute, and I get like 8 books of it, and I love that. But I am just nostalgic for it for that reason, as one of my first really intense relationships that I loved, and I just love Stark. Like, he was an ultimate book boyfriend, and I remember when I first started my channel I would always be like, he's my book boyfriend. Like, I've read a million books since that time, and there was a lot more people probably better than him, but I just loved him. Number 4 on my list is Celia and Marco from the Night Circus by Erin Morgenstern. I just love them so much, and I actually read the Night Circus in like 2014, so it is like 5 years ago that I read this, or was it 2015? It was one of those times, but I had read more books by the time I read this, but I just loved them so much, and because this book instantly became my favorite read of my whole entire existence, I had to put them on this list because they're always going to be a nostalgic ship because I just love them. They really make the book for me, even though this book isn't solely about romance, it's more about the circus and the competition. They just have such a special place in my heart, and I just love them so much, and they mean so much to me. Okay, number 3 on my list is Sydney and Adrian from the Bloodlines series by Rochelle Mead. See, I always loved Sydney and Adrian's relationship more than I liked Rose's and Dimitri's. I just felt like Rose and Dimitri got old pretty quickly. Like, they were still like fun and everything, but I was just kind of over it. But Sydney and Adrian's was so good because they were literally not meant to be together at all, and she overcome her prejudice to be with him, and it was so beautiful. But I just always think of them when I think of the Vampire Academy series, which was like in my vampire phase when I only wanted to read about vampires. I'm just so attached to them, and I would just read the Bloodline series again. Like, I feel like I don't need to reread Vampire Academy. Like, I feel like this is like 10 years down the track, though. It's not something that I'm thinking of doing right now, but I'm saying I could reread it just for these characters because they're so beautiful, and is just all the nostalgia because I just love them. Number 2 on my list is Clary and Jace from the Mortal Instruments by Cassandra Clare, and pretty much all the Shadowhunter books ever because they're in everything except the Infernal Device. At the time that I read this book, my reading was like not very extensive at all. I'd read like Twilight and Divergent and Vampire Academy. Like, I wasn't really like that much out there with my reading. I was just very, you know, whatever I could find in a bookstore that was popular at the time. Then I saw the trailer for City of Bones and I got intrigued, so I went to my local Big W and I saved up $16 to buy this book, and I read it, and I feel like my life changed from this series, and the fact that it's still such a big part of my life now is very special to me as well. But I just loved Clary and Jace so much, like so much that like I kept saving up money so every couple of weeks I could go and buy the next book and then get the next book, and I read all the way up to City of Lost Souls because then it was like a 2-year wait for City of Heavenly Fire. And as the years go and more books from this series came out, I was always buying them. Like, I moved on to the Infernal Devices, and then we finally got Heavenly Fire, and then Lady Midnight come out, and just all this stuff was happening. But I am always going to be nostalgic for Clary and Jace. Like, even though yes, I do like Will and Tessa's relationship more than this, and then I really like Emma and Julian's, and there's a lot of different relationships that are really good, but I am always going to have a special place in my heart for Jace and Clary. They were the original ship of the day for me, and I just love it. That's why I loved watching Shadowhunters, because I love seeing their relationship come to life. I just love all the things. Oh my god, I'm sad to say that number 1 is Bella and Edward from Twilight by Stephanie Meyer. How could I not make a video about nostalgic ships without putting my ultimate ship at the top? I do not feel that way anymore. This would be like down the bottom of all my shit, but I was a full-on Twihard. I was obsessed with everything. I read them 3 times within a year. I knew everything about the cast. I knew everything about the movies. I knew everything. I would even watch with the commentaries on when I watched the movies. But this was a big phase of my life that I'm so glad I grew out of, because I did not want to always have Twilight as like the main thing in my life, because it's so shit. Like, now that I've read so many other books, like, I mean, it sells shit sometimes, but I just, ugh, I could not even go back because it's such a generic, like, book of the day. But Edward and Bella were ultimately the most important thing in my life. And I still remember, because I read it at a time that only the first 3 movies were out. I went and saw Breaking Dawn Part 1 at the cinema, and I was so shocked and like crazy over everything that was happening, and then I had to wait a whole year for the next movie, and that wait killed me, and all I could talk about in that year was what was gonna happen in the next movie. Like, even though I already read the book and I knew what was gonna happen. And like, this was the first time that I was obsessed with a love triangle. Like, I was ultimately Team Edward, because duh. I just think like of my obsession with this series when I think of it now, but that is my nostalgia of it, because I was so obsessed. So guys, these are the books with my most nostalgic ships in them. Like, I mean, all these books are pretty important to me, like, even though I don't like this one as much anymore, and I try not think or talk about it as often, but still, we all have different reading taste over the years. So there's things that we used to love and things that we didn't, and also things that we just continue to love throughout all of time. But anyway guys, hopefully you enjoyed this video. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys later. Bye!